Salutations, good people.
Oh.
What?
Welcome to the Homestand Show.
Welcome to the 1980s. I'm Justin Pooney.
Welcome to the Homestand Show. It is I, your host, Justin Pooney. Albert Vartanian is still on vacation. I think he's going to making a return at some
Thursday, I believe.
The tentative day. That's a tentative
Thursday.
date.
He'll be here Thursday.
So, Justin Pooney, Noor Zainab, Sean McCormick, Sarah Perari will be joining us to talk some footy later on. Thank you for all the support. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Guys, long weekend is now done. We're in the stretch run of summer holidays.
Stretch run.
He's over here saying a few seconds ago, the holidays are right around the corner.
Christmas is right around
I'm like, what?
I bet you
Which holiday?
If you go to
Labor
Costco
Day?
right now,
Oh.
I bet you Costco's
They got some Halloween stuff out for sure.
For sure.
the
Okay, there
Halloween
we
stuff.
go.
I did
So-
see Spirit Town or Spirit or something.
Yeah, Spirit. I saw Spirit.
Yeah, they've got
Last
the
week I
banners
saw
up.
Spirit of Halloween open up at the mall already. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
It's time now, ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen.
football season right around
Football.
the corner.
I smell football.
Premier
right around
League right
Premier
around the
League.
corner.
Smells
Baseball's
like
in the
pumpkin
middle.
spice and football.
Yes.
True.
Nothing like a Sunday with a pumpkin spice latte and NFL football.
All right, wow.
That sounds really
That's
lame, actually.
Wow, you're a man, then. In every way of the word. You've taken it on. Pumpkin
Okay.
spice and
Anyway.
football.
Anyway, let's get this train back on the tracks. Here we go. Speaking of tracks,
Oh,
the Jays are on the tracks. The
Segue,
winning
Jones.
train is on full force right now. 4 straight wins. They swept
Yeah.
the Boston Red Sox in Boston. They won last night in Cleveland. Looking to continue that tonight again in the land. Davis Schneider has been a revelation, Sean, doing amazing things. We'll touch on the Jays quickly, but I want to dive into a bigger topic in the
Sure.
world of baseball. Sean, just quickly, what was your biggest takeaway from the Blue Jays this weekend?
better hitting. I mean, just up and down the lineup. I think contributions from all angles. George Springer playing better in the last few games. He's got hits in 5 of his last 6 games after going 0 for 36. Davis Schneider coming up and looking pretty good, especially for
First player in MLB history to get 9 hits and 2 home runs his first 3 games.
Yeah, like a 5.29 average right now. And again, temper your expectations just a little bit. I mean, you see the ebbs and flows of baseball, and Matt Chapman's hot streak to start the year, and then he was cold for a bit. I mean, Davis Schneider's not going to be a 5.29 hitter, probably not even going to be a 300 hitter. I believe he hit 275 in the minors this year. So he'll come back down to earth a little bit, but I mean, hey, if he can maintain a 275 average, I mean, I'll take that every day of the week. And then Kevin Biggio with 2 great plays yesterday, that unassisted double play and hitting a home run. He's quietly hit over 300 since the All-Star break. I mean, just 28 plate appearances or something like that. So not a lot of big sample size, but I mean, if you can get these contributions from your role players and along with your stars, that's what I've been talking about for weeks with this team is consistency. 4 in a row is a good start, and should be good again tonight with Kikuchi on the mound.
Yes, Kikuchi takes the mound tonight. Like I mentioned, it was a busy weekend in the world of baseball. Tim Anderson got knocked out by Jose Ramirez in probably the best fight on Saturday night. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz was not that good. The SummerSlam one, the WWE scriptwriters, Triple H, you fumbled the bag a little bit. You should have let Jay win. But the biggest story, I think, in the world of baseball was what happened with the Baltimore Orioles and their play-by-play announcer. We have the audio right here, and we're going to play it right now. So, producer Ellie, can you play it for us?
But the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
Yeah, so if you didn't catch it, apparently Orioles play-by-play announcer Kevin Brown was saying some pretty disparaging things about the Orioles. I'm being, of course, sarcastic. Yeah. He was spitting just straight facts. And, of course, the Orioles actually own majority of MASN, the sports network that does broadcast the Orioles game. And Noor, we were talking about off air a little bit before the show about just is teams wanting full control of, you know, the content that's out there, how their team is perceived. This Baltimore Orioles team was the worst team last year, and now they're in first place, right? The story that was being told was how far they've come, and that's actually a positive light. But now we've changed to the point where teams are suspending technically their own employees for talking about facts because it's
for
kind of
doing their job,
Exactly.
being journalists about it. And like you said, I don't understand what he had said that was wrong. He was just saying the past couple of years against this opponent, they hadn't played well. This year, things have changed, tide shifted, and they're playing a lot better. If anything, he's bringing to light the fact that they struggled the past couple of seasons. Now we're looking at a different team that's got their mojo together. How that could have been skewed into a negative, but also a suspension, it doesn't make any, when I first saw that, I thought he had said something racist. I thought he had said something wrong where I was like, okay, I want to look more into it to see what had gone wrong. But when I realized that this was just a journalist doing his job, being transparent, going out there and letting the fans of the sport and the team know the proper facts, like legit just facts, and being punished for it, that doesn't make any sense to me. That to me is like, you know, a government running something and then employing their own media people to ask you questions and then not saying anything after, because that comes down to it's infringing on free speech. It's infringing on other people's rights, and that's a bigger problem than what we're just witnessing right now. That's a huge issue.
And we see it far too much, even in this country, this city, where, let's face it, all of the teams in this city are owned and operated by media outlets that want to control the narrative.
Toronto.
That's why I said Toronto.
Sorry.
And look, Sean, we're
Touchy
seeing it
subject.
now. The teams in the NHL, like for example, the Canucks, they hired their own in-house reporter because they want to convey the messaging they want to. And look, I get it from the team's perspective. They want to, if they're fronting the bill for all these players and they're paying all this money for that, they want to control the narrative. But as a fan and as a person who tunes into sports, fans tune in to get opinions, to get another different point of view, to get informed, right? The fact of the matter that the Baltimore Orioles are and before I finish, they're suspended their PA announcer, their public announcer, before the home opener in 2021 because they found tweets of him talking not bad about the team, but again, just saying something negative about the team in a factual way. Right? So this shows you that in North American sports, at least now, that teams don't care about having any journalistic integrity, having anything to give fans to, you know, opinion-based or anything like that. They want to control the narrative. Everything has to be positive, and nobody is going to be held accountable.
Yeah, I think that's not like the majority of what's going on in sports media. I do see that. I do see some teams that only look at things a certain way, you know, whether it be because that's what the broadcasters want to do, like somebody like a Jack Edwards for the Boston Bruins, or, you know, a team-oriented thing like you're saying with the Vancouver Canucks. What's happening here in Baltimore is just the owner apparently has very thick skin. John Angelos has done this multiple times. He doesn't like when broadcasters bring up past players. He doesn't like he like sort of reprimands announcers for bringing up players that used to play for your own team.
I think you're too sensitive to be running anything.
And then you've got he says that you're only allowed to wear outfits with
only wear Orioles
with the
branded,
logo on it, which fine, you know what I mean? Fine. I mean most places you go, there's, you know, people have uniforms, people have you know, a dress code that they're expected to adhere to. You know, that's fine. It's not my cup of tea, but that if that's what you want to do for your job, that's I think that's very reasonable. But John Angelos is like worth $2 billion, right? So he's worth $2 billion. The Baltimore Orioles have the 28th payroll in the majors, right? So they're a cheap organization. They lay off. They made cuts to like Gary Thorne back in 2021. They cut like 6 broadcasters from Masson, which again they own about 77% of. And now they're suspending Kevin Brown for, I don't know. I wish I could tell you what he said. Just pointing out facts. Like again, I think what was it there? The Orioles haven't won 16 straight series. They haven't won in the Trop, which is which is terrible. And if that's what the facts are, then you should be allowed to spit the facts. Like, the graphic was made. It's not like he went off script and said a bunch of disparaging things. He wasn't like Tom Brenneman and dropped a homophobic slur or racial slur or something like to that effect. It's just crazy to me that Kevin Brown got suspended, and apparently he's supposed to be coming back soon, which is great, but this should never have happened.
Well, no, the thing is, you touched on it earlier when you were explaining. This is a positive. Like, they were so bad, but now look where they are this year. They're playing so well.
But I think Sean made a good point in that where it shows, if you look at the discrepancy of how much he makes versus how much they're spending on the roster, he definitely doesn't want to be asked questions about it. So he's making sure that anything he does in that locker room, whatever he does in that company, he's not going to employ people that will hold him accountable for what's going on. And that's an issue, because then you lose credibility as an organization and also as a journalist. Like, if you're a journalist working for somebody like that, your fans who are watching you do your job will wonder why you're not asking the right questions and why you're being actually complacent to what's taking place in a negative way. I don't want to bring this back to Toronto, but unfortunately Toronto's had this rampant problem as well, where we have an entity that owns all of our sports, and they get to decide who gets to cover it, who gets to come out there, and who they get to give credentials to. Unfortunately, they also want there to be a positive reinforcement when it comes to displaying their sports. So as a journalist, you start to question yourself in, wait, how do I now get to cover this team? Do I cover them just fair? Do I get to cover them as what I see? Or do I now have to come out here and put a positive spin on everything so that my employers are happy? Right. And that is a massive, massive issue, because again, it is going back on free speech, just freedom in general. And you're not being transparent. And when you're not being transparent, your employees, and then again your fans will just not respect you. And what you're seeing now is that's what's happening, right? Like in Toronto, it's tough to go out there and question why Masai's making those mistakes, because people are afraid. They don't want to ask the questions to the boss. And that power dynamic can't be at play when your job is to be a credible journalist who's there to just inform, to just lay facts. That's your entire job, just lay facts. No emotions, no opinions, nothing. You're just there for facts. And now they're making them go against their own moral compass, which is just absolutely nonsense to me.
They want to control the narrative. These teams want to make sure, and they just want to, like you mentioned, basically censor these journalists. So the fact that, if you want to get access to my team, my players, you better say X, Y, and Z. And if not,
like,
well,
this
then
stuff happens
guess what?
in my home country, in Pakistan, and this with their government. And to see that play out in the sports sector makes you worried, because you're like, if people can get away with that, how much sooner until it starts to affect us on a whole, where it might even be happening right now. I don't want to bring it to media and like in politics and stuff, but it's just like, it's a small thing in a large scheme of thing where you now will get to question your reality, which is a problem.
Yeah, what I did like to see too was a lot of the fans and broadcasters alike come to Kevin Brown's defense, right? And as they should. But I'm hoping, and again, you get these kinds of media uproar, sometimes bad, sometimes good, but it usually speeds up the process. So hopefully, they get this uproar from the fans, from Orioles fans, from baseball fans, from these broadcasters that are like, hey, this guy did nothing wrong. And hopefully he comes back in the next couple of days so that we can stop talking about it, because it's ridiculous that this is even a thing that happened when there are a lot worse things being said. And B, hopefully he just comes back and is ready to do his job, because he's very good at it.
He is, and I think he sped off again. It's bullshit what happened. Yeah. It's flat out. It's bullshit that what the Baltimore Orioles have done. And it's also bullshit what teams are doing now, censoring people to the fact where they are scared now to say what they really truly feel and use facts to back up their opinions. And now they're scared that they don't get access and do their job properly because teams want to control the narrative. But again, that's just part of the BS of pro sports and what billionaire owners want
to do. That's a whole different thing too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the freelance model of media is a problem in general.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So there's not a lot of security.
Nope.
There's not a lot of, so you're right. Sometimes you just bend.
You got to bend the knee.
so that you don't get in trouble. But I mean, that's what's beautiful about what we're doing here, and B, like what a lot of people can do now with it's just so much easier to have the technology to create your own thing, be your own boss, and speak your mind, because I think that's what's more important at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think this is a topic that is definitely something that could take a lot more time to dive into, and we could definitely get a lot more animated with it. But like you said, Sean, this is why we do what we do here at Homestand. We're here to say what we want to say, do what we want to do, and be informative and be educational and be entertaining. Because quite frankly,
and
that's
we talk about the Pascal Siakam.
Speaking of entertaining, I was going to tee it up. So Shams just dropped.
Speaking of
entertainment right here, guys. Entertainment. Anyway, Shams dropped an article on The Athletic talking about James Harden. Nothing going on there. Apparently the Clippers and Sixers will re-engage. Dame Lillard still waiting. But also Pascal Siakam. So apparently several teams have shown interest in pursuing Pascal Siakam via trade over the last couple months. The Atlanta Hawks were the biggest. Apparently they offered a package centered around DeAndre Hunter and AJ Griffin plus draft compensation. The Raptors, of course, said no. Masai wants more. Noor, quickly, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because we just keep on beating a dead horse.
You're scared of Masai too.
No, I'll say what I want to say. Look, the Raptors need to trade Masai. Pascal Siakam's not taking you anywhere. Trade him. I would have done this deal with DeAndre Hunter and AJ Griffin and draft capital. DeAndre Hunter's a really good young player. AJ Griffin's a really good young player. Cut ties, trade him. But do you think that Siakam trade is inevitable and it gets done soon?
I don't know, man. The more it goes on, the more I'm just like, I have no idea, because I still see both sides where I know the kind of player that he is. And if you're Masai Ujiri, this is your gold plate. This is the most we can get out of a trade. Pascal Siakam is your holy trinity. Like, he can get you the most out of anybody else. So for him, he's probably thinking, this is not what I pictured to return. And a lot of people are probably also going to be lowballing him right now, which is, I think, is what's coming out. We saw that with the trade deadline this past season as well, with Fred VanVleet, all those guys who we were hoping that we would see more things. But I think at the end of the day, Masai probably saw packages where he was like, this is not turning into what I thought this should be, and he declined them, but bit him in the bum. At the end of that, Fred VanVleet walked for free, made a bunch of money to just hang out with a couple kids. And this could happen to Pascal Siakam too. So at this point, like, I understand he probably wants to wait for the perfect draft package. And at this point too, I think we still don't really know what their direction is because they haven't really chosen one. And if that's the case, then maybe he's looking to see who can give him the best draft capital, not even about the players, because I think for his main focus the entire way has been about getting and recouping those first round picks that he gave up for no reason at all.
No, he would have given up for
I don't want to get into it.
Jakob Hurtle. Also, one last thing about the Raptors is on top of Siakam extension is eligible Gary Trent Jr. OG Anunoby can't even talk right now. OG Anunoby is eligible for an extension in October, a 4-year, $117 million. Probably if I'm him, I'm not going to take that, and I'm going to bet on myself and make it 30 plus a year in free agency. Sean?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know what all three of those players you listed have in common?
What?
Siakam, Lillard, Harden, is they all opened their mouths and said a bunch of stuff that they probably shouldn't have said, and now it's hurting their value. Siakam says he's not going to sign with the team that he gets traded to. You've got Harden asking for a trade. You've got Lillard saying he only wants to go to the Heat. Like, if you just keep your mouth shut, you probably are getting what you wanted. I know it's drama. I know it's entertainment. That's why we love the NBA. But if you're Pascal Siakam, you may be a top 25, in my opinion, top 25 player in the league. He did really well, like top 40 in most statistical categories last year. Lillard, fantastic player. Harden, fantastic player with some baggage. These guys should be able to get traded, should be able to find a home. And it's just funny to me that it's not happening because, if you just kept your mouth shut and didn't tell your agent this and didn't tell the teams that and kept off social media, you'd probably be in a happier spot.
And for Siakam too, I'm just like, what's that dynamic? Like, why would you want to stay where they want to trade you? So he's shooting himself in the foot to be like, any other team who wants to trade for me, I'm not coming because I will not re-sign with you after for next year. But in that moment too, I'm like, if you want to stay, that's fine. I get the money aspect, but what is just about your dynamic within the team, right? How do you trust the front office again to be like, okay, well, because they can sign him on 1 year, you keep him, you can't trade him. Year after, he could still be packing his bag without his choice at that point. You know,
that's why they're getting lowballed too.
Exactly.
Does anybody want to pay Pascal Siakam max money or take that max money?
If I'm Messiah at this point, to be honest, because if Pascal has I think, but it looks like he may have shot his value. If you can sign him on again, but now you have him under contract, and then trade him to another team who's like, well, it doesn't matter where he wants to go because he's on contract for 3 years now, just like Lillard.
But the thing with that is, if Siakam resigns, it's gonna be max or near max money in Toronto, and then what other teams?
But it depends what Toronto offers.
But I think it would diminish his value to other teams around the league, because who wants to take on Pascal Siakam in that big ticket contract?
But again, it depends what Toronto offers, right? If he really wants to stay in Toronto for the money, then he could.
I could see that part of the deal being a no trade move too, right?
If Siakam?
Yeah. No, I mean that's what Siakam would want.
Yeah,
no, but there's no way he's gonna get a no trade. There's no way he gets
a modified no trade or something.
No, the NBA, again, the Wizards were idiots that gave Bradley Beal the only no trade clause in the NBA.
Yeah.
If LeBron James, Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic can't get a no trade clause, there is no chance in hell
those guys
anybody should give
way
Pascal
better than Pascal Siakam.
There's no chance Pascal Siakam should get a no trade clause.
Yeah, but I'm saying nobody. Once you're signing those players, your Giannis's, your LeBrons. Like you're not moving those pieces.
No, for sure.
You could move a Pascal Siakam. Like again, I think a top 25 player, top 30 player. But I think he could be on the move. We'll see.
Well, before we head out to the footy talk, it was Carabana weekend in Toronto, and of course LeBron James was in town. And LeBronto's still a real thing, as you can tell by this video here.
It is.
The King was enjoying.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. We have a video, I think, where the King is enjoying lunch and fans are filming him.
Was this video from you?
No, actually, no. I was gonna go to his party though, but the tickets were like $200 just to get in.
Yeah.
He didn't invite you himself.
No.
So I understand if you're passing by and you were like, hey, that's pretty cool, and you might like take a picture and walk by, but like you see the amount of people on that sidewalk, just let the man be.
Well, Drake was also there.
Just
Fred
let the
VanVleet
man
was there
be.
too. Like you're seeing like Drake and LeBron together. That's like seeing like the Beatles together.
Now, I'm like, I'm LeBron James. I know people are watching me. I'm gonna be so concerned about how I eat, how I'm drinking, what I'm eating. Just
I feel like you're always that way with him because he's like the paparazzi. I'm sure is always following him around, but like if I'm just a normal everyday person not working in sports media and whatever, like, hey, look, there's a person eating. He's just a person. He's a billionaire. Sure, he's a little different. He's
LeBron James.
He's LeBron James, but like everybody eats.
But for the average person to see LeBron James, and then also Drake was there too in Toronto.
I'll definitely take a picture for sure. Like,
we're all gonna do it.
But I'm not like camping out the whole time. I have a life too.
Have you guys ever like worked amongst like superstar athletes? Like, have you ever been starstruck by anybody?
Yeah, I think. I'm trying to
It's
think.
a secret, Sean.
No, So, funny story. When I was like 17 or 18, I was getting my ice skate sharpener at a local store by my place, and Ryan Kessler pulled up.
Okay.
And this was like at the height of like the Ryan Kessler's powers, right in Vancouver. And he walked in and he was like all pissed off, and I was like, oh, should I say something? Should I say something? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say something. I'm like, yo, I just dapped him up. I'm like, oh, like good game the other day or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And he patted me on the back. And I was like, I'm never washing this shirt ever again. But that's some celebrity encounters.
There's no segue
It's been a long weekend, man. There's no segue for that.
Speaking of.
The only segue is this. Arsenal won the Community Shield on Sunday.
Okay.
They beat Man City. And Sarah Praria wants to know, can anybody beat Man City this upcoming year to stop the four-peat?
Give Arsenal their due. They made last season's Premier League interesting at least. But as was expected, mainly by Arsenal fans, in the end, it was Man City who cruised to a third straight title. No one has done the four-peat, ever, in the Premier League, so who's most likely to dethrone Pep Guardiola's charges? Well, according to North Star Bets, no one. City are minus 125 favorites to do the deed, even though they've lost key men Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez. Of course, reinforcements are on the way. They always are, but they are two large holes to fill. And Arsenal look the best bet to usurp the Premier League dynasty. The Gunners are at plus 500 to win it all and have had a great transfer window to date, with £105 million man Declan Rice the crown jewel, a dominating midfielder, a great leader, and just into his prime. Yeah, the Gunners are the real deal and should improve on their 84-point total of last season. Surprisingly, Liverpool are third faves at plus 800. The Reds had an injury-ravaged season last year, but have completely rebuilt its aging midfield. A bounce back? Possibly, but a 22-point deficit is a huge number to overcome. Man United have a new goalkeeper and a new midfielder, among others. And certainly they were the most improved team last season. And at plus 1100, given the effect manager Erik Ten Hag had last season, maybe it's worth a sprinkle. Maybe. Chelsea, of course, are the great enigmas. What will they look like? Can Brighton keep building despite all the sales? And are Villa for real? So much to look forward to, but the odds don't lie. This is Man City's to lose.
The odds don't lie. It's City's to lose. We lost a few people in the studio, but now we got Sarah Pararia. Sarah,
Hi.
You were right. I was wrong. I should have bet on Arsenal to win the Community Shield. What a comeback by the Gunners, though. Scoring the late goal, then in the penalties and stuff like that. Look, Arsenal should have won the Prem last year if they didn't choke massively. City could go 4 straight. You're saying the odds are in their favor. Is there any chance Arsenal, United, anybody else could somehow steal it from Pep and company?
Well, as I mentioned, it's never been done before, right? A 4P.
Yeah.
So it would be insane if they did it. The pressure is definitely going to be on, and I think it might come down to a point of the season where they're going to have to choose the Premier League or Champions League, because there usually is a point in every team, in every team season, where they have to make that decision. Now, that being said, we're talking about Manchester City. They are so stacked, and they are, under Pep Guardiola, they're in their prime right now. So who's to say? If I'm looking at other teams, I know Arsenal have acquired Kai Havertz and Declan Rice.
Yeah.
They look really good, but at the same time, if we look at that Community Shield game, I know it's the Community Shield and a lot of people don't care, but even Pep said it was for a trophy. Arsenal got lucky, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Leandro Trossard took that shot and it went off Nathan Akanji. That wasn't a Trossard goal. Don't even try. Yes. But I get it. A win is a win. They won in penalties, and that's what matters. We saw City didn't take great penalties, but Arsenal, okay, maybe. Do you know what? And it pains me to say it. Manchester United, I feel like... They really evolved last season, and I feel like they're only going to get better.
I think once they got rid of Ronaldo and he left, and that drama exited out of Old Trafford, right? You saw Erik Ten Hag really put his stamp and really put his foot down, and this is how I'm going to build Manchester United back up. Because let's face it, for as lustrous as a past Manchester United have, the last, 10 years, ever since Fergie left, they haven't been anything, really. Other than a Europa, a couple of they won the Europa with Mourinho, right?
Yeah.
I think they did. Other than that, really nothing else they've done, right? So I think with Ten Hag, another year with Ten Hag, him building it, they will be contenders. I think they just need one more year and one more good summer of acquisitions. Then they can be truly considered title contenders. But let's talk about Kylian Mbappe.
Oh, okay.
Look, we know
we're jumping around today.
We know City is going to be the class of the Prem unless something shocking happens.
Yeah.
That's why they're such heavy favorites this year. PSG and Mbappe got some serious beef right now. They're taking his posters down off the stadium. They're not selling his shirts anymore. Apparently Neymar now wants out because of this. Prem teams are apparently lining up to think that he could be available for a 1-year loan. If you are Kylian Mbappe and you clearly have said you will play the 1 year out at PSG and then go free probably to Real Madrid, right? Would you accept a loan to go to the Premier League, the best league in Europe, play a year, and perhaps maybe fall in love with it and stay? Or are you just looking solely at Real Madrid?
Why not? Yeah, I would for sure go to the Prem if I was Kylian Mbappe, because it kind of seems like since this whole transfer season started, there were rumors of Mbappe going to MLS, Mbappe going to the Saudi League, and we're talking about Kylian Mbappe. He's 22 years old. He cannot make moves like that. Like, he's potentially the next best player in the world. It's kind of him and Haaland's era now, right? Yeah. You can't be going to leagues like MLS or the Saudi League. Like, he needs to stay in the top flight. So if I'm him and everything that's happened with PSG has happened and there's been a fallout and they're not going to let you play, you have to play competitive football. And if Real Madrid are waiting to get you on a free because you messed around last season with them and they're not willing to pay for you, for sure go to the Prem. What is he going to lose by going to a team like Chelsea? And he might not be... Maybe he won't even win a trophy, but he's still going to be playing in the top flight with great players, especially because Christopher Nkunku has been ruled out for 16 weeks with Chelsea after picking up an injury against Borussia Dortmund in that friendly last week in Chicago. That's a massive, massive miss for Chelsea here. He could slide into that top position in the front there. I don't see why he wouldn't do this. I think he needs to get out of Paris. I think that whole situation has been tainted. Neymar's wanted out of Paris for years now, and he's begging to come back to Barcelona.
But Barca don't want him.
Well, Barca want him. Xavi says, no, senor, because he knows this guy comes with a lot of baggage, and I get that. But that being said, as a Barca fan, I would take Neymar because he's so talented.
You know what I was thinking about? We're seeing Messi, of course, dominate once again, another 2-goal performance. If I'm Neymar, right, I'm kind of at the back end of my career. I've had a lot of injuries. Why not just take a similar deal to what Messi has?
Sure.
Like, you're not going to get the same size and sheer, dollars of a deal, but you'll get a very good deal in North America, right? Just go play for LAFC or something like that.
There's only a few options.
There's only a few options, exactly. He's not going to go to Sporting Kansas City. He's not coming to Toronto. sorry ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to be playing for TFC. But like when you go back to Mbappe, like you said, he's probably the best player in the world, and he's being barred to train with TFC right now. I'm not TFC, PSG. All that TFC talk. He's being barred to train with PSG's first team right now, right? It's a messy situation. We saw it get tainted by the end of Messi's tenure here. We're seeing it with Neymar. Why is PSG just crumbling and just disintegrating in front of our eyes right now?
I think this was only going to take a matter of time because this is a team that's built on money. They bring in superstars. They bring in players that don't necessarily play with one another, and they're spending all this money somehow, and then they assume that they're going to be able to have this super team. That's not how football works. Football is a team sport. They need to have some cohesiveness. So I think this was just a matter of time, and Messi was kind of the first domino to start that domino effect there. I mean, once Messi left, Neymar was really like, okay, like I actually have no reason to be here anymore. And Mbappe obviously was supposed to leave last year, and now he's realizing we didn't win anything. They won the league, but they didn't do well in the Champions League again. It just seems like this has been going on for too long, and I actually think it's better for PSG. Like, clean that locker room out and pray that you can try and restart something. You got a new coach again. They just signed Gonçalo Ramos, who's a great young Portuguese player. I don't know. For me, I think it sheds a little bit of light on Kylian Mbappe and the person that he is, because if no one really wants you and no one's going after him, that being said, the transfer window is open for still almost another month. I'm jumping the gun here, but do you know what I mean? This is Kylian Mbappe. People should be chomping at the bit to sign him, yet it's only like the Saudi league that really cares.
Yeah, and I think Real Madrid, again, there's reports that they're ready to give a $180 million a year offer. We've been hearing that so much, right? And I think with Madrid, they're kind of realizing, look, we have a great young team right now that on the press can do something really special. If we wait the year, we can just get them on a free transfer and do that. We can wait the year. That's fine. I don't know what's going to happen in Paris. Nobody knows. I will say this, though. If City somehow win the 4-peat and, go back-to-back Champions Leagues, if I'm PSG, I'm backing up the Brinks truck to Pep and offering him whatever. Just give him a blank check. Whatever you want, come fix this.
I don't think,
because I think that's the only guy I think could fix them.
You know, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think Pep would go to PSG. He's smarter than that. He's not going to go to some tainted, super, poisoned kind of team right now that literally needs the pieces picked up from Pep is better than that in a sense. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, because he's proved himself in so many leagues. I wouldn't expect a Mourinho. I wouldn't expect, a Klopp. Like, there are certain managers that I think are just at a higher level that I'm pissed that Luis Enrique went there even. Yeah. I mean, Mourinho actually would maybe be a kind of manager that would. But,
he could.
But I don't think Pep would touch PSG with a 10-foot pole, because he's like, that is some nastiness is going on behind closed doors there. Why do you think they've had 5 coaches in 5 seasons?
That's what I'm saying. If you bring Pep in, I bet just whatever you want, Pep, we'll do it for you, right? Just fix us and bring us a Champions League title, because I think that's what they need to finally validate themselves. We'll see what happens. Now, moving over to the Women's World Cup. Spicy talk too in the women's. The favorites. The dream for 3 is dead.
Yeah.
The U.S. fall to Sweden after we talked about how if they could get by Sweden, they might be on the way. Well, they didn't get by Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden knocks out the United States. Megan Rapinoe missed the penalty. That I saw that video on Twitter so much this weekend of people just bashing her and just sullying her. And I get it. The Americans are easy to pick on, but I kind of felt a little bit bad at a certain period of time. She was just getting dragged through the mud. What were your thoughts? Or what was your immediate reaction when you saw the U.S. get knocked out by Sweden?
Well, I mean, listen, we all got to practice our penalties because we've seen it both in men and women's game, and it's hard. It's hard to do. It's not as easy as it looks. But really quickly, let me go over the stats here because everyone was talking about the U.S. going out, and they went out against Sweden. 22 versus 9 shots, 11 shots on target versus Sweden's 1, 58 to 42% possession. They outplayed these guys. They should have won this game. Now, that being said, in order to win, you got to put the ball in the back of the net, just like Megan Rapinoe said. And that is how it's done. I think the way they went out was they played a better game. And yeah, they went out on penalties. It's not really the worst way. It sucks, I guess, because penalties can go either way. But it's not like they got smashed. They didn't get outplayed. They outplayed another team. We kind of saw, though, from the beginning, the Americans weren't looking as convincing as they usually do. So it is just kind of like the end of an era for this American side. And regarding Megan Rapinoe, I guess she's an easy target, but let's not forget everything that she's done for women's football and for human rights. I think that was something Amy Walsh, friend to the show, said because a lot of people were going after her and the American team. And yeah, I get it. They are really easy targets, and we're a bit tired of them winning. I get that mentality, but to drag these women after what they've done for the sport, it's just childish. Just celebrate, Sweden, winning. That last penalty was crazy. Yeah. We were all up in arms, but I mean, at the end of the day, we are really seeing a change in a generational era shift, and that's crazy. And these are women that we've really seen do a lot for the sport. So I think it's a bit petty of people.
Of course it is. All sports fans are petty, especially when we see a team like the Americans who have dominated the sport for so many years finally get knocked out. Today there was some final results. Colombia ended the Jamaican run.
How about
You're Colombia?
Las Cafeteras.
And then France, of course, showed up finally after they looked kind of...
They mashed them.
They did. They ended Morocco. England is the current favorite. And England...
Hey,
Lauren James, that was... She had to come on a public apologize about the stomp and everything like that. England did not look good against Nigeria. They escaped by the skin of their teeth in penalties
again. And
right?
Lauren James now out for the next match.
Exactly. And if I'm England, I'm very worried. You see that I'm wearing the Three Lions hoodie today?
Yeah,
I am very worried.
I'm
very worried because you're missing your best player, right, in a quarterfinal matchup. It is going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. England still are the favorites, but without Lauren James, can they win this next match?
I just want Colombia to go through because I think we're officially at the point where Colombia are the underdogs. They're the dogs in this tournament, and I love it. Nobody thought they were even getting out of the group, and here they are getting by, playing football, enjoying it, just making a name for their nation, especially because the men have been present for so long in football. I think it's great, and I hope somehow Colombia can get past England because now England are the favorites. Can you imagine?
The pressure's on now.
The pressure's on, but also... Then again, it's not. They've already gotten this far. If they get knocked out now, it's like, who cares? If they knock out...
I'm telling you, the pressure's all on England now.
Oh, 100% it is. And Lauren J., I mean, she's got it foolish. Like, that's tough. I get it. It's heated in these matches, but, come on, you know what's at stake. But just looking at the quarterfinals ahead here, I know we'll probably discuss it more as the week continues. I was going to ask my next question. Yeah.
I was going to say, look, it starts off with Spain, Netherlands. Then we got
huge.
I'm really intrigued by the Japan-Sweden match. I think that's going to be a very, very good match. France, Australia. Australia's been playing well. France looks like they're back on track. And then, of course, England, Colombia to close it out on Saturday. We'll dive deeper into as the week goes on. But as you see it right now, which matchup has, the most intriguing storyline or upset that you see so far?
Intriguing storyline. Okay, of course it has to be Colombia. I think just naturally as
with Lauren James being out and Colombia's story.
It's kind of like, not to say this disrespectfully, but it is kind of the team that's favored the most and probably the team that has the weakest odds right now.
The Cinderella story.
Exactly. So that just naturally there's storylines there. In terms of football though, I think Spain and Netherlands might be the best football match in terms of quality of the game because Spain have had a bit of a slip in their World Cup, but the games that they've showed up to, they've been fantastic. And Netherlands has actually been really, they've kind of been under the radar. No one's been saying anything about them, but the matches I've been watching from them, it's really solid football. So I think that will just be like a very tough match. Japan and Sweden, though, as well.
That's what I'm. That's
like,
the one I'm looking. That's going to be a heavyweight matchup right there between those two sides.
Quarterfinals now, though, everything matters. Every game is going to be really great. Unfortunately for us, that game is at 3:30 in the morning on Friday. So
No, Saturday morning at 3:30.
oh, Saturday. No, it says Friday, August 11th, 3:30. So wouldn't that
Oh,
be
sorry,
Friday?
I'm looking at France, Australia.
No, that's fine.
bad.
Yeah, France, Australia, Saturday at 3. Like, it's just all over the place here for us in Canada. But yeah, all these games are great. I think we might see the hosts end their run. I don't know. France is too good, and I know they haven't been that great, but another team with a ton of experience. I'm not too sure. It's really exciting, though, because now we're at the end where it's
an exciting week for you, because also the National Bank Open is in Toronto. I know you're going to be heading over there.
I'll be there tomorrow to see the number 1 in the world, Carlitos Alcaraz.
Yeah, absolutely. A bunch of Canadians are in action today, and
How about
former
that?
Canadian superstar, or like the guy that really kind of made Tennis Canada put it back on the map, Milos Raonic, won last night, beating Tiafoe in 3 sets. He lost the first at 6-7, then won 7-6, 6-3. It's been a long time since we've heard Milos' name in the news. He's been battling a whole lot of injuries. Of course, hardcourt is his specialty.
Yeah.
What did you make of his match last night? And can he go on a run and kind of get his career back on track here? Or is it just kind of like a nice story, was it yesterday?
It was definitely a nice story yesterday because Tiafoe is number 9, I believe.
Number 9 or 10. He's
Yeah.
top 10 for sure.
Yeah, and he's been having a great year overall. He's a weapon on the court, really. He's so tough. And Francis, and I really actually was shocked that Raonic won, but I think he really had the crowd behind him. I noticed it watching the match, and I think it's really good for him. Do I see him making a run? It's difficult because this always happens, I feel like, with him. He has a good match or a good couple of matches, but he can never really go the distance because of things like injury, which is really unfortunate. So I'm not really quite sure if I'm on the Raonic bandwagon yet. Felix will be playing tonight, and I think he's definitely the guy I'll be watching much more for Canadian coverage, I guess, because we've seen Felix go the distance, and he's just so quality as well. But it also depends on who they get drawn to playing.
Raonic is going to be playing Japanese, Taro Daniel.
Okay.
He's not ranked. I don't know who he is. But look, it's a round of 32. Could he make it to the round of 16? I think
he could, because he definitely,
is,
I mean, if you look at those matchups, this match he just played against Francis Tiafoe, he's definitely more difficult. So we'll see what happens. And, it's great for him, and it's good that he's doing it at home in Toronto.
Absolutely, and can't wait this week to see all your content and footage from the NBO.
Yeah.
That's kind of everything we have for today. This has
we literally talked about every sport.
Everything. We went from baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis, everything.
Yeah, we're all over I love it.
And that is all the time we have today for the Homestand Show. We'll be back on Wednesday with a little hiatus tomorrow.
Wednesday is tomorrow, so we'll be back Thursday, my
You
friends.
know what? The long weekend's still in my mind right now, guys. I promise I'll be better on Thursday. But also, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll see you all later.